remembers what happens in a game. Before that, everything went by so fast he couldn't remember a thing.
One of the reasons they drafted him, he was so good at Oklahoma after making the catch, and that was something the Ravens didn't do very well at all. And there goes the big man. Jamal Lewis inside the 25.
Well, here's another guy that we talked about at the beginning that's playing for a job. Now, they've been stopping him and stopping him and stopping him. But once he breaks back to the outside, he gets some excellent blocking, and he runs right through Sharper and Winfield. You know, this guy is so big and so strong.
And fast.
And fast.
And that's his 20th carry. He's just a back, and he's right. He gets stronger as the game goes on.
This is an impressive drive by the Ravens. Taylor again. Chavis comes up from the safety spot and drilled him at the line of scrimmage.
Let me explain something to you. You can get stronger as the game goes on if you get the blocking. Now, that last play that he ran, he went back to the outside. There was nobody there, and he picked that up. But when you go up into the middle, like he's been going up in the middle, there's no yardage if they don't block for you. I don't care how many times you carry the ball.
I said Taylor had the carry. It was obviously Lewis, 31. Clock is running. It's up to the Vikings. They have to hold them to at least a field goal here.
Well, Minnesota's defense has risen to the occasion in every ball game of that 6-game win streak that they had. Now it's time for Pat Williams, Sam Coward, Kevin Williams to do it again.
I'll tell you
what, the clock is just being eaten up here.
This is the call that tells you how much confidence or what the coaching staff feels about their young quarterback. Do you put it in his hands to be able to go out and make a throw to try and pick up third down, or do you run it into a position where you take a shot at a long field goal?
They're going to let this clock run down and then take their second timeout.
From here, it would be about a 41-yard field goal try if they don't pick any additional yardage on third down.
Matt Stover is really, I mean, he's 10 for 13 from this distance.
I'm going to tell you what, you know what I like about this, what I think they're going to do, and so do you, is here's a time where you let this kid go ahead and throw the ball. You're up by 4 points. You're not going anywhere in the playoffs. You got a chance of knocking a team out. A field goal only gets you to 7, where they have a chance to come back and tie you. I'm going to tell you what, let this kid play the game. This is where you let him, I think you let him throw the ball.
I think you try and pick up the first down.
Sure you do.
I agree with you.
No?
Here's the oddity to me in this game. You've got the Ravens, who are a defensive football team. They have scored 24 points tonight. And you have the Vikings, who had been led by their defense. They come in here and scored 20 against the Baltimore defense. This has been a strange game.
No, but both quarterbacks have played very efficiently. I don't care how good a defense is. When you have both quarterbacks playing this efficiency, this is the kind of game you get. For the Vikings, this could be a chance to go to the playoffs or a chance to go home.
Hines is the only wide receiver, and they'll keep it on the ground with Chester Taylor. And this will take us to the 2-minute warning and send out the Ravens field goal team for the opportunity to go up by 7. It will be a 38-yard try by Matt Stover when we come back.
Prepares. He's only thinking of success. He's only thinking of destruction. But to conquer, he must obliterate the hopes of his opponent and be the only man standing. Fight Night, only on ESPN.
The IRL IndyCar Series, the top open-wheel racing, thrills rabid racing fans around the world on ESPN. the teams and drivers went to the streets of St. Petersburg for the very first street course in IRL history. The drivers finally had a chance to make a right turn, and the results were unbelievably exciting and unpredictable. One thing that was predictable was Dan Weldon winning for the second time in 3 races. ESPN, the home of the IRL IndyCar Series.
This is your typical Sunday in Green Bay. Crickets. A criminal could pick this town clean when the Packers are playing. Well, if it weren't for me. Let's move along there, fella. Probably a Bears fan.
Hope you'll stay tuned for Sports Center coming up with Carl Ravitch and Neil Everett, our NFC playoff scramble, Shaq and Kobe, and Boomer's top 10 plays.
And to everybody, a very Merry Christmas, and what an entertaining Christmas Day game. Get to get your turkey to digest on a exciting, well-played football game.
What turkey?
You didn't have turkey?
Oh, we had carp.
Here's Stover from 38 yards out, and it's a 7-point ball game. It has been a struggle for the Ravens as a franchise to find a quarterback. Scott Mitchell, Stoney Case, Tony Banks, Trent Dilfer, Elvis Gerbeck, Randall Cunningham, Redmond Blake, Bowler, Anthony Wright, and of course Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl for them, and then he was unceremoniously let go. And since then, it's just been a terrible struggle.
I think Elvis Gerbeck was one of their biggest mistakes. You thought you were going to get veteran to come in here. You got a guy who didn't want to play football. Chris Redmond proved he couldn't. Chris Redmond basically was in the same situation as Kyle Bowler was. Go out and show us what you can do. This kid's impressed.
Yeah, but there's some other names on that baby. We're a little shaky also.
I don't. Obviously, there's an evaluation process, and Kyle Bowler is doing everything he can to prove that he is the guy that can get it done. I've been very impressed with his poise over the last 2 games. He didn't play a really bad game in Denver either. Made a couple of mistakes, tried to force the ball. But in the last 3 weeks, he's been quite efficient.
Well, the Vikings aren't thinking about next year. Right now, they're thinking about the last minute 55 of this game because their playoff hopes are now on the line.
And I think against a Raven defense that likes to bring pressure, there's a chance for some big plays for the Vikings.
And they brought pressure more and more here in the second half. Robinson to the 25. So 75 yards away from tying it up.
Corin Robinson has been very silent tonight. He's been a guy, obviously he's going to the Pro Bowl as a kick returner, but he also has provided a lot of spark to this offense in their run of winning 6 of their last 7 ball games. Tonight he's been a non-factor.
Well, and Brad Johnson is from the old Brett Favre school. Move the chains. You've got 3 timeouts. You got 1 minute and 49 seconds. You've got to score a touchdown. I understand that. But the most important thing you can do now is move the chains.
Suggs jumped off but got back. Johnson sidearms it, and then it's dropped right in Corin Robinson's hands.
You know, you jinxed him.
Hey, that's the first time he's thrown to him. How can I jinx him? You know, Brad Johnson has a lot of different deliveries. There's one that's back behind him a little bit. The pressure really forced him to change his delivery.
Robinson only 1 catch tonight, 5 yards. Delayed blitz. Loose ball. And the Ravens have it.
Adalys Thomas. makes the play by running down Brad Johnson.
Adalys Thomas, you have to understand, folks, is 6'2". He weighs 270 pounds. And when they timed him at one time, he's like a 4'6" guy. Maybe a little less than 4'6". But here's the one thing about him. He just never quits. We said about him before about all the positions he makes. He comes through clean. He grabs the back arm of Brad Johnson. And this is just hustle. Look at the speed. This man weighs 270 pounds, and he runs down Johnson from behind.
And he's finally getting his due. With Ray Lewis not available, but for 5 games this year, Adalys Thomas has picked up the slack and stepped in.
Adalys Thomas, as Anthony Weaver gets the recovery, has played all 11 defensive spots at one time or another. Tonight, he played one more. He's the hero.
Yeah.
The Vikings have all 3 timeouts, and I'm sure they'll use them.
Jamal Lewis. The Vikings have to go for the football.
Guys, we saw, watching the game, the Monday night game against Green Bay, Jamal Lewis really looked like he ran hard. And I was talking to Jim Fosso, their offensive coordinator, and he said, hey, look, he had a look in his eye that I hadn't seen for a long time, a look of determination. He's getting that feeling back now. You can see it.
If the Vikings lose, they are out. They are under new ownership, the Wilf family. Mike Tice has been given a semi-vote of confidence for the way he rallied this team, because Ziggy Wilf said he did not anticipate major changes during the offseason.
That's Ziggy
but
to the
not
left.
Anticipating them and doing it are two different things. Lewis stood up at the 5.
I think you have
the
to.
Vikings will stop the clock with 1:17.
Sorry, Mike. I think
go.
you have to. I think you have to take a look at the job that Mike Tice has done. They were 1-4, 2-5 early in this ball game, or early in the season, and he managed to put together a string. He believed in this football team. He admitted he went through some tough times last year in the offseason, but I think that he's brought in some key people. I just don't know how much you can saddle him with the problems of some of the players. These guys are pros. They have to conduct themselves
They're
like that.
also adults, and
you'd hope that they have some sense about what they do.
Yeah, what happened on the boat deal has nothing to do with him. I mean, here's a guy that you can't spend 24 hours a day with these guys. These are grown men. They're professionals. They're supposed to do what they're supposed to do. But I'm going to tell you the one thing about Mike Tice that I think that he may not be there. You want to take a look at all the options that you have. Where is he going to go out really now and find any coaches that he can actually bring in when he doesn't even know if he's going to have a job?
Lewis dove to the 1. They will rule him down there and stop the clock at 1:06.
Well, Jamal Lewis, this is on him. I mean, that sharper number 42 trying to make the tackle at the end. But you see where his knees were down and where the ball is where his knees are down. They'll take a look at it. That ball's put back almost at the 1-yard line.
It's clearly not in.
And the Minnesota Vikings took another timeout, their last timeout.
That's 74 hard yards.
Yes, it is.
And he's the kind of a running back that can do that. Going back to
let me just say one other thing about Mike Tice. The players love Mike Tice. Mike Tice was a player. They know. I mean, here's a guy that never lost his cool. Now the question is, does he get another chance with this football team?
And what about
do you make a wholesale change?
What about Dante Culpepper? What's Dante Culpepper's situation? Does he want to come back to Minnesota? There are a lot of questions that need to be answered in Minnesota.
Stover with a 19-yard try that would make it a 10-point ball game. And does. So the Ravens appear to have slammed the door on the Vikings' hope of staying alive in the playoff chase. Seattle in the NFC has clinched home field advantage throughout. This is if the Vikings lose. Chicago clinches a first-round bye. They have already done that. Tampa Bay at 10-5, the leader in their division. The Giants, as a result of the loss tonight, would clinch a playoff berth, not the division as yet. Then Carolina and Washington have the 2 remaining playoff spots in the wild card, but Dallas would still be alive pending the results of next week.
And then you think Tampa, I think, gets New Orleans this week.
Yes.
And then Carolina gets Atlanta. So,
which is out of it.
Right, but they could still make it a mess for Carolina. And Washington, they go to Philadelphia and play, and we'll be in Dallas for St. Louis and Dallas next Sunday night.
Disappointment on the face of the Vikings. Brad Johnson, whose numbers were so terrific, has seen the Ravens take over here in the second half. Now they're up by 10.
No, you don't pull for any team. You really don't when you do a game. But you think about all the adversity this Minnesota Vikings team went through, most of it caused by themselves. But to come back that far and then lose out 2 games before the season's over. I mean, it's just hard to take. These guys fought. I mean, they were
Kickoff out of bounds. The ball be placed at the 40, 1st and 10.
Kyle Bowler just getting acquainted with the linemen. I'll sit with these guys for a while, and I'll tell you what else you ought to do. Come Monday or Tuesday, take those guys to dinner.
Now Mike Flynn to his left, number 62. I mean, you look at the job that he has done in the last couple of ball games, and you get the sense that this team is now starting to feel like they have a young guy, a leader that they can count on.
Well, the one thing that Brian Billick said to us, he said, if I don't bring him back next year and he's not my starting quarterback, who is? Who do I bring in here? Where do I go get a quarterback? Name me someone out there that's going to be available. And it really is going to be a test.
The Vikings facing a nearly impossible task now as Wiggins makes the catch and gets out of bounds.
Any suggestions on another quarterback?
I don't, off the top of my head, I think there are guys, certainly Patrick Ramsey's situation in Washington is one. He looks like he's going to start this week against the Cowboys, pending an MRI on Mark Brunell. You've got Aaron Brooks maybe out in New Orleans. Kerry Collins maybe out in Oakland. Phillip Rivers is always a topic of conversation. I'm sure he doesn't want to stay in San Diego, but I think this kid's earned the right to play football here.
Wiggins again.
I think, like I said, when I said in the beginning of the show, I believe that Kyle Bowler has to prove that he can stay healthy enough to be able to lead this football team. He's in a similar situation as Rex Grossman is in Chicago. We've seen you do it for a short period of time. Now can you line up and play and be our quarterback that we can count on staying healthy?
Well, one of the biggest problems I think that some of the players on this team really faced was the fact that when Kyle Bowler was drafted as the #1 draft choice 3 years ago, he was handed the quarterback job. And they thought, I mean, a lot of these guys thought, well, this is not a good thing.
Moore down to the 39-yard line. The Vikings can no longer stop the clock except with an incomplete pass or getting out of bounds. And they need 2 scores. Brad Johnson will kill it here with 33 seconds left to go.
You look at the class of quarterbacks that Kyle Bowler came in with. Carson Palmer sat. Byron Leftwich sat. Rex Grossman didn't play right away. Kyle Bowler was asked to come in and just be the keeper of a football team that ran the football well and played great defense. If they'd have just said, come on in and play football, I think he'd have been better off. Instead of just saying, go babysit it for us while we nurse you along. So partially the organization's responsible too.
Wiggins again. He's caught 3 passes on this drive down to the 29-yard line. Clock continues to run. And Johnson hustles him up to the line and downs the ball. Kills the clock with 20 seconds to go.
I think Brad Johnson now has got to take some shots in the end zone.
Wait a minute. What he did is he signaled to the sideline, let's kick a field goal now, then we'll have an onside kick. He said, let's get the 3.
Yeah, and I like that. I think
Brad
that is
Johnson's the
very
guy
smart.
that signaled to the bench.
Problem is they have no timeouts.
But there's no sense wasting any more time now. You need 2 scores. Get this one. Try the onside kick. It's a smart call. Edinger from 46.
Now they got that 3. Now the onside kick,
That's
which is
the
my
first
favorite
part
play.
of the formula.
That's right. This is my favorite part of the game. I love the onside kick.
Would you have liked to have been on the hands team?
I was on the hands team.
Were you? With all those guys coming at
for
you?
11 years. I love it. You know why? You know what you really like about it? If you're on the kickoff return team and they're going to onside kick, and I was usually not one of the guys right there, but I was kind of a blocker, you can wax anybody you want. I'm not kidding you, because the officials don't pay any attention to you. They're looking at the ball, and I'm going to tell you, I laid some guys out you wouldn't believe.
You were the assigned protector.
Oh, yeah, well,
you weren't really on the hands team. You were like the protector part of the hands team.
I was the guy that, you just go get somebody.
Go make sure nobody hits
Take them out. I mean, but nobody even paid any attention to you, because they're all looking at the ball, and everybody thinks, hey, I'm going to go get the ball. Well, I'm going to whack
So you cheap shotted guys.
Well, there was a guy that came down to the kickoff one time. He was a good friend of mine, Howard Kindig. And I hit him and broke his jaw.
Yeah, you cheap shot him.
Caught him going by. Howard went down like a rock.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
And a Happy New Year.
What did you do to your enemies?
It was so much fun playing special teams, I swear to you, because they really don't pay attention to a lot of stuff that goes on in the big pile. They're always out in the middle. I didn't hit anybody way out in the middle. Where
this is one of those scenarios, back to this situation. You better make sure that you hit those guys coming down to try and field it.
Here they go. Watch this.
Yeah. Recovered by the Ravens at the 40-yard line. Chad Williams snatched it on one hop and covered up.
Nice adjustment by the Ravens up front. Chad Williams goes up, catches the ball. Protect, don't do anything foolish, get to the ground.
And now the Vikings are helpless because they cannot stop the clock. And only 13 seconds to go.
Just a week or two ago, we thought of Mike Tice as a possible Coach of the Year candidate for the job he did bringing his ball club back. And
a lot of people had mentioned him in that regard.
And I think he deserves to coach this football team for another contract.
I would love to see that.
And given an opportunity to be able to go out and hire some people. And I believe that Brian Billick should be the coach of the Baltimore Ravens as well.
Our final score from Baltimore, the Ravens 30, the Vikings 20. Stay tuned for SportsCenter. For Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire, Susie Culver, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick saying goodnight from M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Merry Christmas, everyone.
ESPN thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League.
Defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots head into the Meadowlands to take on the New York Jets. The records don't matter when these two fierce rivals face off. Are you ready for some football? Patriots, Jets, tonight. The NFL on ESPN, home of Super Bowl 40.
Would Brett Favre and the Packers have enough powder in the muzzleloader for this bear hunt? Chicago wins the NFC North if it wins at Green Bay. Rex Grossman, first start since week 3 of last year. First quarter, 3rd and goal. Grossman, Muhsin Muhammad, touchdown. Bears up 7-0. Early second, Packers answer back, or so they think after the hugging. A lot of hugging. It's Christmas. Favre, tackle eligible, Mark Tauscher. Big fella, 6'6", right there with reservations for 6, and then he does. And I don't think we can call this. Can we call that the Lambeau leap? No.
Fall.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It made for great video, but it was called back on a penalty, so it's like it never happened. Same drive, 3rd and goal, far picked off by Mike Green. But defensive pass interference, so it's like it never happened. 1st and goal, this happened for real. Noah Herron, say cheese! First career touchdown. And this game is tied. Now that's a leap right there. Still tied, still 2nd quarter. Grossman, Gator flashback, going deep. Bernard Berrien, 54 yards. Pack also getting called for a roughing the passer. Grossman, 11 of 23, 166 yards. Same drive, same score, not anymore. Thomas Jones, 25 carries, 105 yards, and the Bears lead 14-7 at the half. 3rd quarter. Brett Favre never saw Lance Briggs, and he is not going to like what he sees here. Christmas gift. Briggs walks in. Bears 24-7 after 3, fourth quarter. Packers playing catch-up with 8 minutes to go. Antonio Chapman. Punt return up the middle, and 83 is going 85. There's no catching him, the Cincinnati kid. And the Packers make it a 10-point game. Stayed in bounds right there. It is 24-14, 4 minutes to go. Bears 4th and 1, field goal range. Lovie Smith, he's a gambler. Grossman going end zone. Incomplete. Muhammad can't hold on. Packers ball down 10. 2:41 left. Favre. Andre Thurman, 33 yards. This drive would lead to a 26-yard field goal, but Ryan Long will miss twice from inside 40. It's 24-17. Brett Favre, 35 career game-winning comebacks. Buck 26 to go, and Favre to Donald Driver, 6 catches, 107 yards, 56 on that play, but Green Bay no timeouts, and the Bears defense then turned up the heat. They sacked Favre a couple times before this ended it. Favre looking for some Holy Ghost power on a Sunday. Not finding it. Intercepted by Clive Harris. Bears win 24-17. Clinch the division and a first-round bye. Bears sweep the Packers for the first time since 1991. Brett Favre, 30 of 51, 317 yards, no touchdowns, 28 picks this season. That's a record for him, one he didn't want. Back in 1993, he tossed 24 interceptions. The Bears win the NFC North. It's their first division title since winning the NFC Central in 2001. Just Chicago's third division title in the last 15 seasons. The Packers score 17. Hey, that's good against the Bears defense, which is allowing just 11+ per tops in the NFL. Cedric Benson, he got the rookie pub, but Thomas Jones is just 27 rushing yards shy of 1,300 this season. Only Walter Payton did that as a Bear. Hey, George Smith, what'd you see?
When Lovie Smith took over as Bears head coach 2 years ago, he outlined 3 goals: beat the Packers, win the division, and win the Super Bowl. On Sunday, the Bears accomplished 2 out of 3.
It's a special feeling, especially since no one expected us to be where we are right now except us.
A lot of people predicted us to come in last. I mean, I'm one out of everybody. But we didn't. I mean, that's why we play the game.
We're an extremely confident football team, you know what I'm saying? We feel that, you know, that we're one of the best teams in the league, no doubt about it.
One of the reasons the Bears feel so confident is the return of Rex Grossman and the improved passing game. Safety Mike Brown said he's got the crown back. He's our king. He's the guy we're following. For more on Grossman's impact on the Bears, here's Sean Salisbury.
All right, George, here's what I believe Rex Grossman injects into the Bears. That element now to get you to the second and third level. You can't play pressure fronts all the time because he can beat you down the field. Orton was wonderful, but Grossman's better at pushing the ball and challenging defenses. And here it is early in the game in the first period against the Packers. Great throw out in front. I want you to watch mechanics for a guy who should be rusty. Elbow up, ball coming downhill, and look at the route by Muhammad. If this ball is thrown behind, Al Harris breaks it up. Great job by Muhammad and the throw by Grossman out in front. Here's Muhammad again in the slot. No wasted motion by Grossman in the pocket. Just hits his foot, hits a back foot, lets it fly out in front. Again, if it's behind, it's tipped, and it's no touchdown. And this is the most important element. You want to play 8 or 9 man fronts? We're going over the top, and we'll hit you deep. So you can't just play zone or can't pressure anymore to stop the run. Get it to the speed guy, and I'm telling you, if they can score 24 points a game, the Bears will be tough to beat in the playoffs. And Rex Grossman, you are back and a winner, my friend.
Brett Favre has not only established a career high for picks, he's also putting up one of the largest season totals since the merger in 1970. Favre, 4 straight games without a touchdown pass, a span in which he's thrown 9 interceptions. Favre has had just 2 games this season in which he's been interception-free.
All right, done in the division now. The Vikings need a win to keep the hope alive in the playoff race. They're in Baltimore, where the Ravens have been out of the race for 2 months. Brad Johnson, the former Ravens, Travis Taylor. Vikings go up 7-zip. That is the Visa Skycam play of the game. Ravens at their own 37. Kyle Bowler had a huge game. So did Derek Mason. Nice catch, first down. Tremendous ability to hang on to it. A few plays later, Ravens are at the 6. And Bowler finds Todd Heap. This is a heap of trouble for the Vikings. Touchdown, tied at 7. Heap was huge in the first half. And that was an afterthought in the second. Second quarter, Johnson over the middle. Corin Robinson here in footsteps. And now He thinks he hears reindeer. Take one more look. Crushed. Penalty on the play. Drive alive. Same drive. Vikings 2nd and 25. 2nd and 25. Troy Williamson. Afterburners down the sideline. Would look like it would pick up about 8 or 10. Goes big all the way down to the Ravens 16. Baltimore missed a lot of tackles, uncharacteristic for their defense, but the Vikings D was even worse. Johnson, Jermaine Wiggins, cannon shot, 14-7. They'd lead 14-10 at the half. Jump to the third quarter, 17-10 game, 3rd and 7. Third downs difference in this game. Bowler, Mark Clayton. And he goes in. The Ravens were a remarkable 10 of 15 on third downs. Later in the third, it's 3rd and 13. Bowler, Mason, got it. Mason went for 9 catches and 103 yards, both season highs. Last quarter, same drive. Bowler, you want to buy a pump fake? Look at everybody coming. About face. Who's open? Mason. Bowler went 24 of 34 for 289. Ravens up 24-20. Vikings seeing their playoff hopes go down the tubes. 27-20. Thomas. The forced fumble. Anthony Weaver recovers for the Ravens, who hang on and win it by a score of 30-23. Bowler was huge. Mason outstanding. And with this, the Vikings are done. There will be no postseason. The big winners, the G-Men. They can win the NFC East if they can beat Oakland at Oakland Saturday. If they lose, they can still claim the division if the Redskins lose at Philadelphia on Sunday.
Skycam Play of the Game. Brought to you by Visa, proud sponsor of the NFL. With Visa's multiple layers of security, you're covered.
Byron Leftwich has a New Year's resolution. Get back under center for the playoff-bound Jags. Leftwich sidelined last month with a broken ankle. Hopes to play next weekend. David Garrard has been driving the Jag in his absence. Team's gone 3-1 since he took the wheel.
More NFL on the way. How many NFC East teams will make the playoffs and why the 10-5 Giants might not finish the season in first. And MJ's Bulls, just one of a handful of teams that started the season this hot. Up next, the Pistons with a very Merry Christmas. Plus,
Ultimate Highlight. Brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you? Ultimate Highlight. Brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, is it in you?
Take every person that will attend next month's Rose Bowl between USC and Texas. Visualize the approximately 93,000 folks in Pasadena. Triple that. You have nearly the same number of people who were killed last year by a tsunami off the shores of the Indian Ocean. Monday is the one-year anniversary of the devastation that left as many as 250,000 dead or missing. While it hit far from home, for some, including 2 NFL players, it remains close to home. Here's Jeremy Schaap.
Fly up, you see, regular trees, and then all of a sudden you see like there's a line, and there's like nothing. It looks like Hiroshima. It looks like a big atomic bomb had hit.
I still don't think I have a grasp of really what took place. I can't even fathom a wave moving 300 miles per hour, a 20, 30-foot wave. It's just amazing to me.
December 26th, 2004. The tsunami claims more than 250,000 lives from Southeast Asia to Africa. 2 months later, former NFL MVP Kurt Warner and wide receiver Amani Toomer of the Giants went to Indonesia to aid in the massive relief operation.
I think it really just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, there was miles and miles of area where there was nothing. There was nothing left. Where communities used to be, completely gone.
You're just dumbfounded by how much you just don't think that the earth and the water can be that powerful.
I remember sitting out there looking and thinking, I'm like, what would I do? What would be the first step? I mean, I was paralyzed by the thought, I wouldn't know where to go next. I wouldn't know what to do next.
Working with the World Food Program, Warner and Toomer lent to the cause their celebrity and their sweat. While American football is mostly unknown in Indonesia, they still hope to brighten the lives of children whose parents were either dead or still missing.
Football! 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 It wasn't about teaching them American football. It was just about spending some time with them. We're here because we love you guys and you're important to us, and we were just trying to get them to put a smile on their face.
Yeah! Ethan Medley, the Giants community relations coordinator, also made the trip.
These kids just wanted to be kids, and they didn't know who Kurt or Amani were, but they knew the concept of American sports stars and just wanted to be around the guys. It was relaxing because we thought that we were going to a place where there was probably people were just devastated, but these kids just knew how to be kids. That's all they wanted to do.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Visiting with children whose families had been virtually wiped out, Warner and Toomer confronted the psychological impact of the disaster.
Each of the kids got a piece of paper and some crayons to draw a picture.
All of them drew waves, and all of them drew waves with bodies in it.
It seemed like everybody there was drawing a picture of their tsunami experience. They had a picture of themselves up on a hill, and then there was mom and there was dad floating in the water.
Two people. The saddest thing was when you'd see a person come up there and they just say, one. I just need food for one. That means their whole family was dead.
Ultimately, Warner and Toomer found their experience among the victims sad, of course, but not disheartening. In fact, amid the devastation, their faith in the vitality of humanity was reaffirmed.
I was taken back by the excitement they had for life, the spirit they had within them, the fight that they had within them, despite what this tsunami did to really their whole community, their whole area. And, I think it just really was another situation in my life that helped me.